spirit and core of all that marvelous world. Apart stood high Elysian nameless hills, burning like sunsets in a trance of eve. Their slopes through a hurry of laughter and voices sunk, crossed by a throng of singing rivulets, adoring blue heaven with their happy hymns down into worlds of shadowy secrecy.
Good morning. So today we're going to begin Canto 9 of Book 2, The Paradise of the Life Gods. We had been following Asvapati's journey through the inner planes of consciousness. He had traveled first upwards from the kingdoms of subtle matter into the kingdoms of the lower life, and then the higher life. But even there, he came across a kind of an obstacle. He couldn't find a fulfillment in those higher heavens of the vital planes. And so, instead of continuing on his journey upward, he descended down. And he descended to the very base of existence, into the subconscious, down to the inconscient. And in his journey downwards, he went through hell, we could say, and met there the mother of darkness, who was kind of a shadow mimicking the form of the shape of the Divine Mother, and her sons of darkness, her powers of evil. And he went through these landscapes of hell, besieged by these evil forces, but somehow still the light of his soul persisted, which he kept kind of cherishing through that darkness. And eventually and finally, he came to the very bottom of that realm and found there the key of nature's change, which he was looking for. But as we noted in Shraddhavan's commentary, this was really still a key to his personal transformation and not of that of humanity in general. So he hasn't yet found the absolute key of changing the wider collective. So he'll continue on his journey. I'll just read kind of his finding of that key from last time and maybe a few lines of the kinds of effects that it had on him. So it says, this is on page 231, about a third of the way down. It says, into the abysmal secrecy he came, where darkness peers from her mattress, gray and nude, and stood on the last locked subconscious floor, where being slept unconscious of its thoughts and built the world, not knowing what it built. There, waiting its hour, the future lay unknown. There is the record of the vanished stars. There, in the slumber of the cosmic will, he saw the secret key of nature's change. A light was with him. An invisible hand was laid upon the error and the pain, till it became a quivering ecstasy, the shock of sweetness of an arm's embrace. He saw in night eternal's shadowy veil, new death for a cellar of the house of life. In destruction felt creation's hasty pace, new loss as the price of a celestial gain, and hell as a shortcut to heaven's gates. Then in illusion's occult factory, and in the inconscience magic printing house, torn were the formats of the primal night, and shattered the stereotypes of ignorance. And we see in the page that follows that this change also had an effect on his physical being. There's just a few lines that hint at that. Maybe I'll just read just at the end, the very end of the canto, the last couple of lines. The soul lit the conscious body with its ray. Matter and spirit mingled and were one. So now we come to the paradise of the life gods. It's as if that night vanishes and in its place a new world, a kind of a heaven, appears around him. And this canto, it's very beautiful in its poetry, very uplifting, very heavenly. And It's a stark contrast to these hells that we've been going through in the last couple of cantos. This is a relatively short canto. We'll read through it once without commentary, and then we'll go through again and comment on it. Yeah, I think we can kind of use those interchangeably in this context. But it's still, I mean, it's not a heaven in the Christian sense, really, but it's kind of a divine world of peace and bliss. Everything good is there. Kind of a divine world. Maybe we start this time over here. Oh, okay. Helmut?
Around him shone a great felicitous day, a luster of some rapturous infinite. It held in the splendor of its golden lamp regions of the heart's happiness set free, intoxicated with the wine of God, immersed in light, perpetually divine. A favorite and intimate of the gods, obeying the divine command to joy, it was the sovereign of its own delight and master of the kingdoms of its force. Assured of the bliss for which all forms were made, unmoved by fear and grief and the shocks of fate, and unalarmed by the breath of fleeting time, and unbesieged by adverse circumstance, it breathed in a sweet, secure, unguarded peace, free from our body's frailty inviting death, far from our danger zone of stumbling will.
Thank you. Nitya?
It needed not to curb its passionate beats, thrilled by the clasp of the warm, satisfied sense, and the swift wonder rush and flame and cry of the life impulses red magnificent rays. It lived in a jewel rhythm of the laughter of God, and lay on the breast of universal love. Immune, the unfettered spirit of delight, pastured his gleaming sun herds and moon flocks along the lyric speed of griefless streams, in fragrance of the unearthly asphodel, in silence of felicity wrapped the heavens. A careless radiance smiled upon the heights. A murmur of inarticulate ravishment trembled in the winds and touched the enchanted soil, incessant in the arms of ecstasy, repeating its sweet, involuntary note. A sob of rapture flowed along the hours. Advancing under an arch of glory and peace, traveler on plateau and on musing ridge, as one who sees in the world magician's glass a miracled imagery of soulscapes flee, he traversed scenes of an immortal joy and gazed into abysses of beauty and bliss.
Thank you.
Around him was a light of conscious sun and a brooding gladness of great symbol things. To meet him, crowded plains of brilliant calm, mountains and violet valleys of the blessed, deep glens of joy and crooning waterfalls, and woods of quivering purple solitude. Below him lay, like gleaming jeweled thoughts, wrapped dreaming cities of Kandava kings. Across the vibrant secrecies of space, a dim and happy music, sweetly soft, smitten by unseen hands, he heard heart close, harp's cry of the heavenly minstrel's past, and voices of unearthly melody chanted the glory of eternal love. In the sweet blue moonbeam air of paradise,
Thank you.
A summit and core of all that marvelous world, apart stood high Elysian nameless hills, burning like sunsets in a trance of eve, as if to some new, un- unsearched profound, profundity, profundity. Into the joyful stillness plunged their base, their slopes through a hurry of laughter and voices sang, crossed by a throng, I think, throng of shining rivals, adoring blue heaven with their happy aim down into woods of shadows, secrecy, lifted into wide, voiceless mystery, their peaks climbed towards a greatness beyond life, the shining Edens of the vital gods received him in their deathless harmonies.
Thank you. Continue.
All things were perfect there that flower in time. Beauty was their creation's native mold. Peace was the thrilled, voluptuous purity. Their love fulfilled her gold and roseate dreams, and strength her crown and mighty reveries. Desire climbed up, a swift, omnipotent flame, and pleasure had the statue of the god. Dream walked along the highways of the stars. Sweet common things turned into miracles. Overtaken by the Spirit's sudden spell, smitten by a divine passion's alchemy, pain, self-compelled, transformed to potent joy, fearing the antithesis twixt heaven and hell. All life's high visions were embodied there. Her wanderings, hopes achieved, her aureate combs caught in the honey eater's darting tongue. Her burning guesses changed to ecstasy's truth. Her mighty pantings stilled in deathless calm and liberated her immense desires.
Thank you. Nard?
In that paradise of perfect heart and sense, no lower note could break the endless charm of her sweetness ardent and immaculate. Her steps are sure of their intuitive fall. After the anguish of the soul's long strife, at length were found calm and celestial rest, and, lapped in magic floods of sorrowless hours, healed were his warrior nature's wounded limbs. In the encircling arms of energies that brooked no stain, feared not their own bliss. In scenes forbidden for our pallid sense, amid miraculous scents and wonder hues, he met the forms that divinize the sight, to music that can immortalize the mind and make the heart wide as infinity, listened and captured the inaudible cadences that awake the occult ear. Out of the ineffable hush it hears them come, trembling with the beauty of a wordless speech, and thoughts too great and deep to find a voice, thoughts whose desire new makes the universe.
Thank you. Margaret?
The scale of sense that climbed with fiery feet to heights of unimagined happiness recast his being's aura in joy glow. His body glimmered like a skyey shell. His gates to the world were swept with seas of light. His earth, Lord, with celestial competence, harbored a power that needed now no more to cross the close custom line of mind and flesh, and smuggle Godhead into humanity. It shrank no more from the supreme demand of an untired capacity for bliss, a might that could explore its own infinity, and beauty and passion and the depths reply, nor feared the swoon of glad identity, where spirit and flesh in inner ecstasy join, annulling the quarrel between self and shape.
Thank you. Derbyshire.
It drew from sight and sound spiritual power, made sense a road to reach the intangible. It thrilled with the supernal influences that build the substance of life's deeper soul. Earth nature stood reborn, comrade of heaven, a fit companion of the timeless kings, equal with the godheads of the living sons. He mixed in the radiant pastimes of the unborn, heard whispers of the player never seen, and listened to his voice that steals the heart and draws it to the breast of God's desire, and felt its honey of felicity flow through his veins like the rivers of paradise, made body a nectar cup of the absolute. In sudden moments of revealing flame, in passionate responses half unveiled, he reached the rim of ecstasies unknown. A touch supreme surprised his hurrying heart. The clasp was remembered of the wonderful, and hints leaped down of white beatitudes.
Thank you. Shohim.
Eternity drew close disguised as love, and laid its hand upon the body of time. A little gift comes from the immensitudes, but measureless to life its gain of joy. All the untold beyond is mirrored there. A giant drop of bliss unknowable overwhelmed his limbs, and round his soul became a fiery ocean of felicity. He foundered, drowned in sweet and burning baths, the dire delight that could shatter mortal flesh, the rapture that the gods sustain he bore. Immortal pleasure cleansed him in its waves and turned its strength into undying power. Immortality captured time and carried life.
Thank you. So we go back to the beginning. So Tinaka can begin.
Around him shone a great felicitous day, a luster of some rapturous infinite,
It held in the splendor of its golden love regions of the heart's happiness set free. Intoxicated with the wine of God, immersed in light, perpetually divine. A favorite and intimate of the gods, obeying the divine command to joy. It was the sovereign of its own delight and master of the kingdoms of its force. Assured of the bliss for which all forms were made, unmoved by fear and grief and the shocks of fate, and unalarmed by the breath of fleeting time, and unbesieged by adverse circumstance, it breathed in a sweet, secure, unguarded ease, free from our body's frailty, inviting death, far from our danger zone of stumbling will.
Thank you. So it seems as if Asapati is projected from this hell up into this heaven, or perhaps that hell is somehow transformed into a kind of heaven. In any case, he's in a realm now of bliss. It seems from the description here in this opening passage that delight, joy, happiness, all of these things characterize this realm. Even in the first line, we see around him shone a great felicitous day. Felicitous is happiness, kind of a deep, full happiness. A luster of some rapturous infinite, rapture again bringing sense of delight, an intense delight. It held in the splendor of its golden laugh regions of the heart's happiness set free, intoxicated with the wine of God. This brings to mind Bacchus and Dionysian, where they would drink wine in these rituals and dance and sing, and it was kind of a experience of divine delight. Immersed in light, perpetually divine. And again, obeying the divine command to joy, it was the sovereign of its own delight and master of the kingdoms of its force, and assured of the bliss for which all forms were made. It makes us just pause and think that of the delight of the divine, which is at its very core, the delight that is destined also for our world once this transformation comes, this intense happiness and delight and freedom from all difficulty, pain, suffering. He says, unalarmed by the breath of fleeting time and unbesieged by adverse circumstance. Has an absolute kind of immunity from all of these things, all of this darkness and pain. These are all aspects of falsehood, this suffering and pain, fear. So we can continue, Helmut. It needed not.
Clasp of the warm, satisfied sense, and the swift wonder rush and flame and cry of the life impulse's red, magnificent race. It lived in a jewel rhythm of the laughter of God and lay on the breast of universal love. Immune, the unfettered spirit of delight, pastured his gleaming sun-herds and moon flocks along the lyric speed of griefless streams in fragrance of the unearthly asphodel. A silence of felicity wrapped the heavens. A careless radiance smiled upon the heights. A murmur of inarticulate ravishment trembled in the winds and touched the enchanted soil, incessant in the arms of ecstasy, repeating its sweet, involuntary note. A sob of rapture flowed along the hours.
Thank you. We see in these first lines that this delight of this realm is not just simply a very calm, quiet happiness or delight, but it can also be very intense. It needed not to curb its passionate beats. Thrilled with the clasp of the warm, satisfied sense and the swift wonder rush and flame and cry of the life impulse's red, magnificent race. I think, well, a little bit of the blood, I think, pulsing through, but it almost seems kind of related perhaps to some kind of transmuted kind of sexual delight. I mean, the life impulse's red, magnificent race. I mean, it almost kind of conjures up an image of that, but something transformed, and it's able to kind of embrace that kind of ecstasy within it without, turning into something dark or evil. It needed not to suppress its passion. To curb is more or less to put to the side, or to put borders around. It could embrace that passion. Yeah. Yeah, red is symbolic of the physical, right? Mm-hmm. But one of the things that this is beginning to hint at, and which I think Sri Aurobindo brings out more as this canto goes, is that the physical is participating in this ecstasy and in this transformation of this life. I mean, the life in that world is transformed down to the form, to the body. There are these kind of beautiful images. Immune, the unfettered spirit of delight pastured his gleaming sun herds and moon flocks along the lyric speed of griefless streams in fragrance of the unearthly asphodel. So this asphodel, let's add it. Yeah, it's a flower. Here, I'll read Narad's definition. A genius of liliaceous plants with very attractive white, pink, or yellow flowers, mostly natives of the south of Europe, by the poets made an immortal flower and said to cover the Elysian fields, the heavenly paradisal fields. So, by the poets made an immortal flower. Here he says the unearthly asphodel. Well, I think to some extent he's kind of conjuring up some of the imagery of the Vedas, because in the Vedas they talk about the cows and the herds, which are symbolic of light, right? Cows are symbolic of light. So here he uses this term sun herds. Moon flocks. Yeah, this is, I don't know, but maybe, in my mind it conjures up a shepherd with his flocks of goats or whatever, I don't know, like moving through the pastures in the evening. But right. So we just have more of this language describing this intense delight of this place. A murmur of inarticulate ravishment trembled in the winds and touched the enchanted soil, incessant in the arms of ecstasy, repeating its sweet involuntary note. A sob of rapture flowed along the hours. That delight is there in the nature, in everything. It's just overflowing with it. So we continue. Advancing on 234.
Advancing under an arch of glory and peace, traveler on plateau and on musing ridge, as one who sees in the world magician's glass the miracled imagery of soulscapes flee. We traversed scenes of an immortal joy and gazed into abysses of beauty and bliss. Around him was a light of conscious suns and a brooding gladness of great symbol things. To meet him, crowded plains of brilliant calm, mountains and violet valleys of the blessed, deep glens of joy and crooning waterfalls and woods of quivering purple solitude. Below him lay, like gleaming jeweled thoughts, wrapped dreaming cities of Gandharva kings.
Thank you. We get more description of the beauty of the landscape of these heavens. He's advancing under an arch of glory and peace, traveler on plateau and on musing ridge, on mountain ridges. And then there's this nice image as one who sees in the world magician's glass. It's as if he's looking into like a crystal ball of the divine magician and seeing in that ball a miracled imagery of soulscapes flee. The term soulscapes is quite interesting because he's bringing together kind of landscapes and soul, but they're kind of kind of divine landscapes. He traversed scenes of an immortal joy and gazed into abysms of beauty and bliss. Around him was the light of conscious suns and a brooding gladness of great symbol things. So then, crowded plains of brilliant calm, mountains and violet valleys of the blessed, deep glens of joy and crooning waterfalls, and woods of quivering purple solitude. Below him lay like gleaming jewel thoughts, wrapped, dreaming cities of Gandharva kings. Now these Gandharva kings, yes. So I'll read a little bit from Narad's lexicon about this. Sri Aurobindo, the Gandharvas are of the vital plane, but they are vital gods, not asuras. Soma is the Gandharva, the lord of the hosts of delight, and guards the true seat of the Deva, the level or plane of the Ananda. He is the supreme, standing out from all other beings and over them, other than they and wonderful. And as the supreme and transcendent, present in the worlds but exceeding them, he protects in those worlds the births of the gods. The births of the gods is a common phrase in the Veda, by which is meant the manifestation of the divine principles in the cosmos, and especially the formation of the Godhead in its manifold forms in the human being. That's from Secret of the Veda. And then in the Veda, Lord of the hosts of delight, so this is referring to Gandharva. In later mythology, the Gandharvas are musicians of heaven, beautiful, brave, and melodious beings, the artists, musicians, poets, and shining warriors of heaven. So there's kind of this older meaning of the term that goes back to the Vedas, and then a more recent interpretation in which there are these musicians kind of heaven, poets.
The vibrant secrecies of space, the dim and happy music sweetly stole. Smitten by unseen hands, we heard heart close the harp's cry of the heavenly minstrels pass, and voices of unearthly melody chanted the glory of eternal love in the white blue moonbeam air of paradise. The summit and core of all that marvelous world, apart stood like Elysian nameless hills, burning like sunsets in a trance of Eve. As if some new unsearched profundity into a joyful stillness plunged their base. Their slopes through a hurry of laughter and voices sank, crossed by a throng of singing rivulets, adorning blue heaven with their happy hymn, down into the woods of shadowy secrecy, lifted into a wide, voiceless mystery. Their peaks climbed towards the greatness beyond life. The shining Eden of the vital gods received him in their deathless harmonies.
Thank you. in kind of following up on this idea of the Gandharva kings, of these musicians of heaven and poets of heaven, he hears a dim and happy music sweetly stole. Smitten by unseen hands, he heard, heart close, the harp's cry of the heavenly minstrels pass. Again, these minstrels are medieval entertainers who traveled from place to place, singing and reciting poetry. And voices of unearthly melody chanted the glory of eternal love in the white, blue, moonbeam air of paradise. It's a beautiful image of this white, blue, moonbeam air. And it also kind of suggests, I don't know, a little bit, this white is the color of the mother blue of Sri Aurobindo, their spiritual colors. Kind of a blending of these colors in the air, but it's a moonlit air. And then a summit and core of all that marvelous world, apart stood high Elysian nameless hills. So Elysian refers to a dwelling place of the blessed after death, kind of heaven again, or a state or place of ideal happiness and bliss. So, dwelling place of the blessed after death. So in that sense, like a heaven, but also used more broadly, a state or place of ideal happiness or bliss. Yeah, there's peaks and mountain valleys, and he's kind of seeing all of these soulscapes flee, as if in this crystal ball he's seeing all these images. So yeah, there's these high hills burning like sunsets in a trance of eve, and then, as if to some new unsearched profundity, into a joyful stillness plunge their base, their slopes, through a hurry of laughter and voices sank. So this is the descent of these hills into a valley crossed by a throng of singing rivulets and small streams, adoring blue heaven with their happy hymn, down into woods of shadowy secrecy, lifted into wide, voiceless mystery, their peaks climb towards a greatness beyond life. The shining Edens of the vital gods received him in their deathless harmonies. Edens also suggests delightful region, place before the fall of Adam and Eve. It was a place of delight. So we continue. Yeah, we can see all these beautiful places on earth also. Huh? Yeah. Purgatory? No. Here he's talking about ideal heavens. Purgatory is kind of a place, I don't know, it's sort of an in-between place where souls go who are kind of like not ready to go to heaven yet. What's the reference here? Oh, but herds and hounds are different. Herds is like a collection, of cows. Generally, we think of herds of cows or herds of animals. So it's just a large group of them. Okay.
All things were perfect there, that flower in time. Beauty was their creation's native mould. Peace was a thrilled, voluptuous purity. Their love fulfilled her gold and rosette dreams, and in strength her crowned and mighty reveries. Desire climbed up a swift, omnipotent flame, and pleasure at the stature of gods. Dream walked along the highways of the stars. Sweet common things turned into miracles, overtaken by the Spirit's sudden spell, smitten by a divine passion's alchemy, pain's self-compelled transformed to potent joy, curing the antithesis, twist, heaven and hell.
Thank you. The Sri Aurobindo brings in different divine aspects which are all present in this realm: beauty, peace, love, strength, and even desire and pleasure, dream, and even sweet common things turned into miracles. Pain, self, compelled, transformed to potent joy. Pain was, in a sense, there, but a transformed pain that became a powerful joy or happiness, curing the antithesis twixt heaven and hell. integrating.
But I thought the pain was not present in this paradise. Now this sentence has come, pain is changed to joy.
It's transformed. I think pain is kind of this intense sensation that we're not able to bear. But if you could bear it, it could change into an intense sensation of joy or pleasure.
It connects with the earlier line, overtaken by suddenly you want a very big jump in happiness and joy, then you do this pain, so-called pain, and then convert it again.
So it seems like all these kind of what we perceive as kind of negative things have kind of their transformed or positive counterpart. Because I think even desire and pleasure here have that character. So yeah, here we have to make that offering. We maybe experience the pain at first, make the offering, and then it can be changed. But here, I think it's kind of spontaneous. It's kind of just an intense delight or something there.
Coming to your question, we know something more about colorability, like balance and unity is a colorability. I thought life was a colorability to undergo change, basically from
Perfect.
soul of the hell to the soul of paradise. I think in between your profession, you know more about that.
Well, I don't know too much. I only know a little from my Catholic upbringing, and that was, so my sense of it always was when we die, normally we go to hell or heaven. But some people or some souls, somehow they don't really, are not sort of have mortal sins which would send them to hell, but they have some sin or something there that prevents them from going to heaven. So they go in this middle world of purgatory for some time, and then maybe they can be converted or something to go to heaven.
Wait till the judgment day, na? The soul, your body, the soul, what I understand, I mean, just to clarify. The soul remains there waiting till the judgment day, and then it's decided whether it's heaven or hell. And that's why probability is a new idea, right? It's there. And you say it's just after that it's a probability. Right? He died, is not sure whether he goes to heaven or hell.
Yeah.
So he goes through the phase of probability and then he goes to heaven, possibly. Or if it doesn't progress that way, he goes to heaven.
It's just the state of consciousness that the soul learns through.
Yes,
So then it is something. So what they meant by in between stages, when the soul is ready to leave the body, but it has an earthly body, the vital being and everything has desires and attachments. But it's supposed to go by the thought all of the people around and experiencing and it's not able to leave. That is including the always do the Shraddha and there's many ways, there's 40 ways, the in-between part that the Pandit says that the soul is handling. So the things are always there in every tradition. Tradition is distorted.
Right. Yeah, I think that's a good interpretation, that it's... Okay, let's not get too stuck up on purgatory. We don't want to be stuck in purgatory forever. Okay, can we continue?
All life's high visions are embodied there. Her wandering hopes achieved, aureate combs caught by the honey-eater's darting tongue. Her burning guesses changed to ecstasied truth. Her mighty pantings stilled in deathless calm and liberated her immense desires. In that paradise of perfect heart and scent, no lower note could break the endless charm. Of her sweetness, ardent and immaculate, her steps are sure of their intuitive fall. After the anguish of the soul's long strife, at length were found calm and celestial rest, and lapped in the magic flood of sorrowless hours. Healed were his warrior's nature's wounded limbs, in the enticing arms of energy that brooked no stain and feared not their own bliss. In scenes forbidden to our pallid sense, amid miraculous scents and wonder hues, he met the forms that divinize the sight. To music that can immortalize the mind and make the heart wide as infinity, listened and captured the inaudible cadences that awake the occult ear. Out of the ineffable hush it hears them come, trembling with the beauty of a wordless speech, and thoughts too great and deep to find a voice, thoughts whose desires new make the universe.
Thank you. So we see that in this realm, there's this absolute fulfillment, satisfaction. All high visions are embodied there. Her wandering hopes achieved. Her aureate combs caught by the honey-eater's darting tongue. Her burning guesses changed to ecstasied truth. Her mighty pantings stilled in deathless calm and liberated her immense desires. Everything finds their fulfillment. And in that paradise of perfect heart and sense, this vital realm, part of the nature. Of her sweetness, or no lower note could break the endless charm of her sweetness, ardent and immaculate. Her steps are sure of their intuitive fall. Everything is moving perfectly, faultlessly, according to a kind of inner intuition of what should be done. And there he finds relief, peace, healing after his long journey through the night, through the desolate wastes of hell. At length were found calm and celestial rest, and lapped in a magic flood of sorrowless hours, healed were his warrior nature's wounded limbs in the encircling arms of energies that brook no stain and feared not their own bliss. And then again he refers to the beauty of the scenery, the sense, miraculous sense, and wonder hues, the colors. He met the forms that divinize the sight, that beauty just kind of divinizes the senses, and music that can immortalize the mind and make the heart as wide as infinity. He listened and captured the inaudible cadences that awake the occult ear. So not even quite physical sounds, but subtle sounds, music he hears that wakes the occult ear. Out of the ineffable hush, it hears them come. We too can sense that if we get into this ineffable quiet. Hear these sounds of beauty and delight coming out of that hush, trembling with the beauty of a wordless speech, and thoughts too great and deep to find a voice, thoughts whose desire new makes the universe. Suggests also out of this intense, deep quiet, intuitions or inspirations coming, voice, sounds, expressing the truth from the higher consciousness. Shall we continue?
A scale of sense that climbed with fiery feet to heights of unimagined happiness. They cast his being's aura in joy glow. His body glimmered like a ski shell. His gates to the world were swept with seas of light. His earth, dowered with celestial competence, harbored a power that needed now no more to cross the close custom lines of mind and flesh and smuggle Godhead into humanity. It shrank no more from the supreme demand of an untired capacity for bliss, a might that can explore its own infinite and beauty and passion and depths reply, nor fear the swoon of glad identity, where spirit and flesh in inner ecstasy join, annulling the quarrel between self and shape.
Thank you. Here again, we have this mingling of spirit and flesh, spirit and matter. In his being, his full being is being transformed. His body is participating in this ecstasy. His body glimmered like a skyey shell. His gates to the world were swept with seas of light. His earth, dowered with celestial competence, harbored a power that needed now no more to cross the closed custom line of mind and flesh and smuggle Godhead into humanity. So that barrier that he had been facing before to bringing the higher consciousness down into the body across the customs line was kind of annulled, and he could bring it down fully into his physical being. It shrank no more from the supreme demand. And here I think we're kind of still referring to his earth, his body, his outer nature, of an untired capacity for bliss, a might that could explore its own infinite in beauty and passion and the depths reply, nor feared the swoon of glad identity where spirit and flesh in inner ecstasy join, annulling the quarrel between self and shape. It kind of suggests this kind of interaction also of the being with its environment, right? And so the beauty of the environment or of music also has this effect on us, that it can also transform us. Shall we continue, Margaret?
Where we have to go?
I think I drew from sight and sound.
It drew from sight and sound spiritual power, made sense a road to reach the intangible. It thrilled with the supernal influences that build the substance of life's deeper soul. Earth nature stood reborn, comrade of heaven, a fit companion of the timeless kings, equal with the godheads of the living sons, he mixed in the radiant pastimes of the unborn, heard whispers of the player never seen, and listened to his voice that steals the heart and draws it to the breast of God's desire, and felt its honey of felicity flows through his vein like the rivers of paradise, made body a nectar cup of the Absolute.
Thank you. these first couple of lines somehow seem to me important or profound, though I'm not sure I fully understand. But it drew from sight and sound spiritual power, made sense a road to reach the intangible. So it suggests that we can use the senses as a way towards the divine, towards unity with the divine. Seeing in form or hearing in the sound the divine. But in that world, such things, the forms, the sounds, are so heavenly, so divine that they're also transforming of the being. But also I think somehow we can maybe utilize that as a hint of kind of an aspect of our sadhana. But there, due to this transformation overtaking his full being down to the physical, he becomes a fit companion of the timeless kings, equaled with the Godheads of the living sons. He mixed in the radiant pastimes of the unborn. So now his being is participating in that world of the gods, of these life gods, of the divine. And even he's hearing whispers of the divine player who's never seen, but he hears some whispers coming, and listen to his voice that steals the heart and draws it to the breast of God's desire, and felt its honey of felicity flow through his veins like the rivers of paradise, made body a nectar cup of the absolute. Again, this all is coming into his physical frame. Devashisha,
In sudden moments of revealing flame, in passionate responses half unveiled, he reached the rim of ecstasies unknown. A touch supreme surprised his hurrying heart. The clasp was remembered of the wonderful, and hints leaped down of white beatitudes. Eternity drew close, disguised as love, and laid its hand upon the body of time. A little gift comes from the immensitudes, but measureless to life its gain of joy. All the untold beyond is mirrored there. A giant drop of the bliss unknowable overwhelmed his limbs, and round his soul became a fiery ocean of felicity. He foundered, drowned in sweet and burning vasts, the dire delight that could shatter mortal flesh, the rapture that the gods sustain he bore. Immortal pleasure cleansed him in his waves and turned his strength into undying power. Immortality captured time and carried life. End of Canto 9.
thank you. Asupati is reaching these absolute heights of ecstasy. He reached the rim of ecstasies unknown, towering up into the delights of Ananda. And from there, this absolute delight, a giant drop of the bliss unknowable, overwhelmed his limbs, and round his soul became a fiery ocean of felicity. It's as if even just a drop of that bliss is just overwhelming his body. He foundered, drowned in sweet and burning vast, the dire delight that could shatter mortal flesh, the rapture that the gods sustain, he bore. So that intense delight is flowing into him. And as it does, immortal pleasure cleansed him in its waves. Remember, he's just passed through all this long ordeal of hell, and now he's being cleansed and rejuvenated, transformed really by this intense delight, turning his strength into undying power. Immortality captured time and carried life. This is kind of a stage of high transformation that Asopati has undergone after finding that key of magic change. But his journey also is not over. As we see in the next canto, he has to leave this behind and go on to other realms to explore. So we'll take that up next time. We have some music.
drop of the bliss unknowable overwhelmed his limbs, and round his soul became a fiery ocean of felicity. The rapture that the gods sustained he bore.
Thanks to Sri Aurobindo.